You're listening to the Hidden Killers podcast with Tony Brueski,
featuring former federal prosecutor and president of West Coast Trial Lawyers, Neama Rahmani.
Let's go over to the Delphi case a little bit. Lots of attention being brought over there in recent documents of Tony Liggett, the Carroll County Sheriff, not being so straightforward with investigators when asked about talking to the Purdue University professor who gave his opinion on the Styx and the Odinist claims. Just kind of brushed that off to the side, didn't remember who he was, where he was. If we talked to him, we were questioning if this guy even existed. Turns out he exists. They did know who he was and where he was, and now they finally said, oh, yeah, he did say that. What do you think is going on here? Is this someone who they dug their feet into the dirt so deep and they've made one lie to cover another lie, and now they're not wanting to come out of it because it's going to look really bad for them? Facts and truth be damned, or whoever be damned that ends up being incarcerated for this crime?
It's really frustrating, I can tell you, when police officers lie and they withhold evidence. It is the worst thing. It tanks the case potentially, it undermines faith in our criminal justice system. And you're talking about law enforcement here that's been under a lot of criticism because it took so long to solve these murders. Now, obviously, it wasn't an easy case, but listen, if you're a cop, you're a sheriff, you're an agent, just turn the discovery over. If it's bad, your prosecutors will deal with it. That is their job. If you got someone saying that, the defendant's actually innocent and some other person did it, well, let's explore that if you're the prosecution, because listen, it's going to come out at some point, and this is one of those things where the cover-up is just as bad as the crime. So really frustrating. Again, if this happened, I don't know if it did. I'm just telling what the defense's allegations are, but we're seeing it time and time again, and it's a big problem.
Yeah, I mean, if in fact there ends up being a Frank's hearing on this and the judge goes through it, do you think it's enough where it will make an impact or even exonerate Richard Allen, or will this just simply be acknowledged and, looks like they screwed up over here, but it doesn't really have an impact on the innocence or guilt, in their opinion, of Richard Allen to be free unless they got more evidence against him? Or do they just keep him in jail and take this all the way to court eventually when they're looking at doing that January 8th?
Yeah, I think if there is some sort of discovery violation, there will be a sanction. It's rare for the case to get dismissed entirely. We've covered cases here like Lori Vallow, right? Yep. I mean, the death penalty was taken off the table because the prosecution didn't do its job when it came to discovery. And, defense lawyers, they're good, and they know that the best defense is a good offense, so they really push the prosecution. But, nothing I've seen yet has exonerated Richard Allen. If this is an argument they want to make, take it to the jury if you believe that, these Odinists, and this was all this, white supremacist cult, For me, it really goes to, a question of fact, and for jurors to decide what story makes sense and who's telling the truth. Again, it's a tough case to analyze on the show because there's just been so little evidence against Allen made public yet. So, I trust and hope that law enforcement and prosecutors are doing the right thing when they indict someone. Think that this other story is very plausible. Anything is possible, of course, but it just seems very unlikely. But this is a tough case to analyze until the prosecution really tips its hand and shows us what evidence they really have against Allen.
Why would the defense throw a 136-page theory out there like this in this document? If there isn't anything behind it? Obviously, it is their duty to present a credible and honest defense. They can't just be making these sort of things up. But I agree. Is it possible? Sure. Is the Odinist claims plausible? I don't know. There certainly is enough smoke around the Odinist claims. And if you look at some of the people that were named in that affidavit that they believe could possibly be suspects or the killers, it certainly leads to a lot of questions as to why some of those people were not pursued further, and they're still out there, and some are still working in law enforcement as well. It'd be quite a conspiracy if we have a whole system that's working together as an Odinist group to simply put the blame on someone other than them. with the evidence that we have on Richard Allen, it's not much. And that's just what we're seeing on the outside, obviously. We have an unspent bullet case, and he has a gun. Other than that, there is of course, jailhouse confession, but they're saying that was under duress. Is that enough to fully convict somebody? Just having that one bullet that is out there was a crime that didn't even use a bullet. And then the strange confession to the mom and to the wife.
Yeah, I mean, look, obviously you want to corroborate the confession, right?
Yeah.
Especially when there's an allegation that it was coerced and it was not voluntary. Again, hopefully, and relying on the grainy video, probably not good enough. So I would want something more. And we'll see. I mean, prosecutors better have it. They've had years to work on this case. It's been the subject of many podcasts and cold case shows. So they got to have something. I mean, I would hope they have something if they're going to charge someone with murder.
What if they don't? What if this does get to court and that's literally all that they are arguing? Would this be a very quick case? And could he be convicted on such weak charges? And what would that mean on appeal if in fact there is a conviction on just what we know right now?
I think it's unlikely, right? Because at the end of the day, they did get the search warrant, right? So a judge did find probable cause to search the home. They got to have something, before the confession. It's just, whether it's cell phone or some other forensic evidence, Tony, I got to believe that no judge would sign off on a search warrant without some sort of at least probable cause. And that probable cause had to exist before the confession.
But then we have to question, okay, what is the probable cause? Who is finding this probable cause? Does that go into the world of Tony, too, where, there's been some questionable police work there and some stories and tall tales that really didn't add up?
Yeah, this is a case that has gone in so many different directions. I never thought we'd end up in Richard Allen, right? We thought it was Catfisher first, and now we got the Odinist. And the state they haven't been super forthcoming, but I gotta think there's gotta be evidence, unless it's some random murder and Allen happened to come across these girls. What's the connection here? What's the motive, right? Yeah. There's gotta be something more there. So this is a case that, you're right, if this is it, I think he walks. I think the case gets dismissed before the jury's even impaneled. Yep. If this is all they have. If they're just relying on bullets in a case that doesn't involve ballistics and a confession, I don't think the prosecution has enough. But I'm confident that they have more. I really think that, Tony.
Want to listen ad-free? Want advanced access to all of our interviews before anyone else?
Become a True Crime Today Premium Plus subscriber on Apple Podcasts.
You get every episode commercial free.
So you can binge on true crime
until you can binge no more.
Search True Crime Today Premium Plus on Apple Podcasts now, or go to our podcast page and sign up now.
More of the Hidden Killers podcast next.